two that I was really reading about it is Kodak and Nokia. So at a certain point of time, to make a photo, people were saying Kodak, use it as a verb, because that was the most known branch or brand in taking photos. Nokia was exactly, I mean, 20 years ago, mobile phone was actually Nokia. And the two companies are not existing anymore. The main reason from my point of view and from what I read, they really came late to go into the next era, the next technology. So Kodak stayed too long until they realized that the technology that they are using actually Polaroid had a more advanced technology, and they will kill the technologies that Kodak have. So people make success, but management actually normally behind failure. Okay, we'll go again to Dr. Basil. What is the additional cost or cost savings that results from AI? And let me give you some numbers from McKinsey. McKinsey says AI could add $2.6 trillion up to 4.4. So something between 2.6 to 4.4 trillion dollar annually to the global economy, the global GDP. So what's your comment on this, and what are the additional costs and savings that AI can give us?
Yeah, and I think I'd like to use some examples, practical examples, because people think about generative AI. People are now starting to talk about agentic AI, right? But there's also machine vision AI. There's physical AI. And it's putting these pieces together that are allowing us now to solve business problems that we could not before with these tools. I'll give you an example of within FedEx, and actually within the logistics industry. One of the most difficult things to do is load a truck and unload a truck. It is a small compartment, it has a lot of boxes, and to be able to have a system that recognizes which boxes are there, how to remove them and put them properly is a very difficult task. We are finally getting to those points. The interesting thing when you talk about a labor perspective and ultimately a cost perspective is that it is very difficult to find enough people to do that kind of activity. That may depend on the country, but when you talk about a lot of the European countries, particularly North America, there's such a low unemployment rate already. There are simply not enough people to do this kind of activity to allow it to grow. It's very difficult to find somebody who wants to come at 2 a.m. and unload a truck in the cold. So these are the type of solutions that are now coming into play that will open up and unlock new capabilities to enhance movement of goods, which ultimately create wealth.
Going back to my granddaughters, because actually I use them as a thermometer for the difference between my generation and their generation. My granddaughter was in my house and using the internet, and then the internet was off. So I sent her the call center numbers. They called them and tried to help her to actually fix the problem. When I came back at home, she was very angry from the call center person. And when I asked her why, she said he was trying at the beginning to help me to get the internet working. And then he said, do you have the landline next to you? I said, yes. He said, check if it has harara, which is, our generation was using harara, which is the tone of the phone, that it's working. So he asked her to check if the landline has harara or not. She put her hand on the landline and told him, no, the landline is not hot. Because for her, the word harara is it hot or not? When I came back, and she was very angry from the way, because he started laughing, of course, and start telling people next to him in the call center, she's saying that the landline is not hot. And when I told her what he means of harara is the tone of the phone, she said, but why you called it harara? And I couldn't answer, to be honest. But we grown up with this term, and we always say, في حرارة في التليفون, okay? And she couldn't believe it. On the other hand, uh, my other granddaughter, she came in with her mother in a taxi, and then she came to my room, said, "Look, honey, I had a very strange thing in the car." I said, "What?" She said, "The Uber car that we came in has something on the door. When you move it this way, the glass go up, and you move it this way, the glass go down." Because for her, this is very strange, because all the cars that she was in is just push a button. And my daughter told me the whole journey she was just playing with this hand. And I said to myself, Allah yarham ayam zaman, when I have the 128, I have only one handle for the different doors. So if somebody wants to put the window down, I give it to him and then I take it back. That was the technology by that time, So the main reason why I'm always referring back to my granddaughters, to prove or to ensure that the gap between my generation and their generation is too big, which is good because they are more advanced than us. I have a question here, but for the importance of this question, I will ask every panelist to say one thing. What are the biggest risks from AI? So what I want you to do is everyone say one risk, one big risk from using AI. Dr. Tariq?
The one biggest risk, in my opinion, is the lack of values that will give the society. That yes, the lack of values that we will receive from the AI. That's the biggest risk I see, because it's going to be, everything will be a lot of fake. People will feed, the way I see it, they will be feeding the machines the wrong stuff, so people will get the wrong outcomes on that. So that's my biggest fear.
Okay.
And this is what I think. Again, I'll give an example. When we did, after World War II, the nuclear United Nations, the nuclear thing, and now who? I'm an American citizen, so don't understand me wrong, but who used the atomic bomb? It's only the US, and used it twice. So the question is, how we're going to make sure, even with regulations, that the body controlling the regulations will not misuse it. So this is my biggest fear.
Okay. Dr. Bassel?
I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. I look at it as the risk is of not using it, especially in industry. This can lead to competitive advantage. Those that are able to use the technologies and tools most effectively applied in their businesses tend to have the best outcome.
Okay, that's a good.
Yeah, but there is a risk. So, if in your mind, what would be the risk?
The risk of not using it.
No, but there is the risk of not using it for sure. We agree on that. But if we use it, what could be the risk?
Actually, I fully agree with you, because the risk of not using it is big risk. I was involved in a way or another with a complete renovation to textile factories, and the new machines actually work with AI and should be connected to ERP system, and the way they are dealing with everything is unbelievable. So it is one of the things that I've seen in the system. If the cotton stock went below a certain number, automatic automatically the machine gives a notice to the management that you don't have enough cotton in your stores, and 2 weeks I will stop because of lack of cotton, as an example. So it doesn't need anybody to go and check the stock or make a mistake or whatever. You know, we used to have a lot of injuries in those kind of factories, and the new machines actually working with sensors connected to everything. So if somebody even came close to the machine will stop automatically and give some warning and things like that. So I fully agree with you that there is risks that we are going to cover now, but the risk of not using it is much bigger. Thank you for this, Dr.
No,
Bassel.
and I would just say the other risk, where your information goes.
Okay.
I think that's.
I am worried about the next generation intelligence, especially we leave the next generation with AI models, which affects the values, as you said, and the historical data and the region, because actually most of AI models depends on in which regions it's coming from. For example, in Middle East, the focus is the economic growth and digital transformation. In USA, the focus is they already limit the restriction just to attract investment. In Europe, the focus in privacy and security for the society, while China and Russia already focus on the control the content and the national security. So I am worried about our generation. So we should have our solution, our AI models, which respects the values. You have many AI models already. We don't know what child already, what the child already looking for. So we should have a protection. So my main worry is the next generation intelligence.
Okay. Who from you from the attendees here, who heard or seen or touched the calculating ruler? The calculating ruler is a ruler that you can use as a calculator. Okay. I had two from my father. I still keeping them. And every time I show it to one of the new generations, what is this? He look at it or she look at it and play with it a little bit and say, I don't know. You know, this is how they were using it. I remember when I got my first calculator, my first basic calculator, I went to my father's room and I showed it to him and I explained to him how it works. And he said, so you don't need the calculating ruler anymore. I said, yeah, of course. This is with one touch. I can do what you are going to do, and you are going to learn me. You try to learn me this for for weeks, and now I can do it with a push button. So this is how things are developed. Thank you for the three or the top risks from AI. But the studies that I went through to get the top three are not really different than what you have seen. I mean, some studies says that the biggest three risks from AI, number one, deep fake, as you said, Dr. Radar, deep fake. Because AI, you can actually do a lot of things, that fake things that can really make a lot of problems. And the second thing is privacy. You know, you have to say goodbye to privacy, because actually, and now I remember, I mean, I was in one of the malls, and I mean, shaking hands with one of my friends that I met him by chance. And he just introduced one of his friends to me. I did not take his phone. I did not actually just say hi. And at night, in the same day, I found him coming on people we might know. I don't know how. I don't know how the system managed to know that I met this guy for the first time in this mall. So things became very scaring from the privacy point of view. The last, not the last, but the third top risk from AI is cybersecurity. Because the more you have data and the more you are playing with data through AI, if somebody can hack the system, if somebody can hack the system, you will be in deep trouble. So again, I'm going to repeat the three big risks: deep fakes, privacy, and cybersecurity. There's a lot of other risks, by the way, which is, I mean, like we don't have the right legal frameworks, as we said. There's values. There's a lot of risks, but people who really work on this identify those three as a top three risks from using AI.
Comment on
Yes,
that.
please do.
The cybersecurity is a shield. So we can use the AI as a shield. This cybersecurity is not a risk. AI might be a risk on cybersecurity because actually we can use the AI to generate new risks, new vulnerability, new
Yes.
attacks. So it's a cybersecurity comes to play to go against AI.
So
threat.
Hani meant not cybersecurity. Hani meant the
Because
security.
actually
The security
cybersecurity-
things, yes. That's,
You are right. Let me here also close with something. From my point of view, the next jump, the next big jump in technology will when people will plant chips under their skin. The technology is already there. Some countries in North Europe is using it. It takes 2 minutes to just implant a very small chip under your skin, and then you became on air. And there's a lot of studies now in the States, in Europe, in Japan, what they can do with this chip. Of course, like anything else, there is some good things can be done, and there's bad things can be done. So, of course, good things is much related to health, and so if you are at home, alone at home or something like that, this chip can talk to your doctor, can talk if your blood pressure went up, or if your sugar level went up. It's already send a message to your doctor or to your hospital, so they can come and, or at least they can contact you, telling you what you can do. So there's a lot of benefits of this chip that is under skin. However, you don't know what kind of programs they can discover in the future or create in the future and put it in this chip that make you actually naked. Not physically naked, but actually electronically naked. So let me, one of the things that they are working in now is when this chip measure some biologic indicators, they can translate it into modes. What I mean by modes, if you are going to the kitchen and this chip felt you need a cup of cold water, this chip will contact your fridge through IoT and tell the fridge to get a cold cup of water for you. So you'll find the fridge putting a cold cup of water for you because of this connection. If you went to your bedroom and you are tense and coming from a bad day, it will talk to your whatever will be by that time and ask this machine to put a music, specific music to relax you while you are going into sleep. One of the things that I've heard about it, and it's good for any man, especially men, because this is what we are suffering from actually. If you convince your wife to put this chip, you can put a program on this chip that this chip will call you or will send you an SMS every day at 5 o'clock telling you what is the mood of your wife. So when this chip actually send the SMS to your mobile and tell you she's happy, she's angry, she's whatever. And then you decide you want to continue going home or you do turn around and go and spend some time on a coffee shop. So this is how far the technology can do. And there's a lot of examples, but I want to keep time. So I will open the floor for 2 or 3 questions maximum, because we have 5 minutes or 7 minutes left to be on time. And I promised everybody that I will be on time.
Thank you. I usually buy milk and bread, regardless of the mood, so I'm out of trouble all the time with my wife.
So thank you so much for this really fascinating presentation. I think it was absolutely great. So Jeffrey Hinton has said that the first jobs to go are the mundane intellectual tasks. And I know where I work, we have loads of mundane intellectual tasks that people don't want to do, but they do it anyway. Everybody wants to lecture, nobody wants to mark. You know, everybody wants to submit a paper, nobody wants to review a paper. And I'm just wondering, from your positions in industry, where do you see the mundane intellectual tasks, and how are you going to reposition people so that they can do something that adds more value to your organizations?
Okay, so I'll take this.
Dr. Tariq, تفضل.
Okay, so I believe like if we come here in 10 years, most of the repetitive jobs will not be there. Like every job you hate, like we started seeing this, like at my home, I have like a lot of robots cleaning windows or cleaning floors. We have the gardener, you know, you're not going to need the gardener. Mowing glass will be automated. As Basil was saying in FedEx, the problem is these people, sorry, FedEx and UPS, they are, you know, there is a lot of abuse in the people. So better than that, you can have like machines, you know, robots doing all this. So the question will be, we here come here 10 years from now, you're going to find all the repetitive jobs have gone, including, you know, including like education, in which basic educations. Now everything will be focused on how is the human value, will be adding innovative value on top of that to make sure it's that. So I agree with you, there is a lot of jobs that you don't need, and these, in my opinion, these jobs will be eliminated and it will be, you know, substituted by technology. That's it.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you take a look at agentic AI, it's very interesting. If you see some of the players out in the marketplace now and what they're able to do, it's hard to recognize that it's not a person, right? And it could be customized to your particular needs. So I see that some of those type of jobs may be at risk as we move forward. But this is not unusual with what we've done throughout life. I mean, I when I graduated from high school, it would, you know, one of the key things is you should know how to type over 35 words per minute. When's the last time you saw a job that required it, how quickly you can type? In fact, you don't need to type anymore, right? So this is where things will change, but I am certain it will evolve as well.
Okay.
Just one thing before. Actually, I was really surprised from the how some people use the technology. I'm not talking here AI. One of my friends told me he was in the car in traffic light waiting, and then somebody was knocking the window. He wants to get some money. So he told him, I'm sorry, I don't have change. He said, I'll give you my number and you can send it to me via, exactly, InstaPay. So the guy is actually, I couldn't believe it, you know. They said, I have InstaPay, take my number. I have an InstaPay. Can you imagine? This was, for me, this was very strange. Last thing, but about AI, a friend of mine who was suffering from, somebody is doing a black, how do you call it, black, not blackmailing, magic for him, you know? And then he found somebody that can take this paper from different places, things like that. So he decided to upload it to ChatGPT, but a very advanced ChatGPT. So he put those paper that he found with a lot of strange shapes and numbers and stars and things like that. And the ChatGPT, and he was all what he said to ChatGPT, what is this? And when you read the answer for ChatGPT, I couldn't believe it. He explained exactly what is this in Arabic. He explained exactly what is this and who should be doing this, not a person, but a certain category of people. And more and above, he told him what he should do with this paper, okay? And he gave him as well some parts from the Quran to be said every day to protect himself. So I said to him, ChatGPT أعلن Islam already. It's unbelievable. This one, I couldn't believe it until I read it. So anyway, sorry for that. 2 more questions and we'll close.
In the day. Basically, I thank you very much for this valuable discussion. As a result, I have 3 concerns. First, we need from who cares about education in our country to prepare our students to be expert in these new jobs that AI opens. Second, we need to handle with the AI ethics issue, such as bias. By the way, it is the main risk, as we know that biased data gives biased decisions. And finally, my concern is how to transform AI technology to our country, not to be just end user for this technology. توطين صناعة ال AI نفسها في بلدنا أو في البلاد العربية. How to deal with this? Thank you.
The Minister of Communication and the Information Technology already set a group of programs for the new generation for learning AI and cybersecurity, starting from primary school and secondary school until they graduated from the university. So we already set a set of programs. So it can educate the children or the students how to use AI, and until the graduate, until also for the postgraduate, there is a master programs for that. So the student can learn the stages for developing the machine, the AI models. It might be the challenge is the infrastructure for learning a huge of data is the main issue. Actually, even for any university, how to model or train the model, and you have to have certain processing powers to do that. But actually, we already have set of programs already doing that from primary school until the university.
So can I add something very practical here? So first of all, you said about Egypt and about having AI. That's a good question, but we have to understand something. We have to choose the technologies that matches our DNA and matches our resources and what we can do. So first of all, most of the people don't know what are the technologies involved in AI. So the technologies involved in AI are three things. Either infrastructure, you build huge, humongous data centers with humongous stuff. Number two, either software or where you do the big LLM techniques and stuff like that, and you do those. This is also very difficult. And then the third one, which is co-pilots. You can do a market of co-pilots. You can go a market of agentic AIs. You can do all these things. I personally believe, and since I was one of the people understand the industry here, at least because I'm from here, the thing which fits us most from what I said is the co-pilot stuff, is the fine-tuning of and orchestration of foundation models versus this. And these people, we can do better, because if you think about it, a country like us, in terms of the huge infrastructure and things like that, it's not going to be working a lot here in a good way. And also building the LLMs and all these things with the amounts of that. So the best thing you do is you find where you fit here, and it's okay to choose the thing which fits you most, okay? So it's not about, okay, I want to do everything. Like, today, for example, you cannot do chips, okay? Everything we know with chips is done. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq. Last question, and we'll close the session after the last question because of timing.
Actually, it's not a question, but it's just a
Whatever, you'll be
perspective.
the last
Yes,
one anyway.
okay. Yeah, the reality, of how AI received considerable attention in the last 3 or 4 years and leading to last 2 years is that the big technical companies realized one thing, that the salary is much more bigger than the cost of electricity. So when you look to the average per hour salary in the US, it is 200 times the price of the electricity. So you can substitute as much as you want a person for more electricity. This is what you see now taking place. They realized this, and they were buying electrical companies, building this. This is what you are seeing now. The reality is the value is more when the cost of the labor is high, meaning the value is high with respect to the electricity. This is the most important thing. I stumbled on this because I devised an index that I named it the Knowledge Electricity or Energy Index. In the most advanced countries, it is about 200. But when you go to lower or developing countries, it's 40. So where do you see it is working? It will work more in the advanced countries and less. Now, on what Dr. Tariq said, the areas of pillars of the AI are 3. He named them. Chips. Other than that, the basic, like the software, and then lastly, the applications. In the applications, what do you see now? Certain fields. You see healthcare, you see banking, you see certain spots where, and there, what is limiting this here is the integration of the activities in the company or in the concern. This is the integration is the bottleneck. The bottleneck in these industries is the integration. You can see this. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And there is a part of my questions that I dropped completely because of time, but maybe later on we'll talk about it, is how people will receive arts from artificial intelligence, music, drawings, writings. So what the artificial intelligence now produce a lot of arts, and is the real creativity and innovation how people, if you have a drawing with one of the famous artists and you have another drawing done by AI, how people will accept or compare both of them. Uh, anyway, we can talk the rest of the day about this, but before we leave you, I want you to thank our panelists. So thank you very much for your contribution today, and have a best day, and actually enjoy the rest of the day in the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this amazing panel. Now, Dr. Tariq Khalil will honor our panelists. Thank you so much, all.
يلا ثانية بس ثانية مش أقول Please be seated. Thank you. عشان ده كان panel كذا كذا كذا. ماشي.
Thank you all, and please all be seated to move to our next panel.
على صوتك يا زوزو. بيقولوا إن أنت مكسوفة.
Our next panel, Cybersecurity in the Genetic AI Economy. Please welcome Professor Mariam, Board Member, National Council for Women, former MP. Mr. Ahmad Abdel Hafiz, Vice President for Cybersecurity Affairs, NETRA. Engineer Tariq Shabaka, CEO, Mid East Communication Systems. Mrs. Abir Khudr, Group Head of Cybersecurity, National Bank of Egypt.
Distinguished guests, President of IAMOT, and the very honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and pleasure here to be with you and to convey the message of Her Excellency Councillor Amal Ammar, the President of the National Council of Women. And she's, I'm just conveying her message with the best wishes for the success of this conference. So I'd like to start by asking you a question. Do you think, or do you know someone who has been a crime of a cyber attack? Can you raise your hands, please? And if you have known someone, how much percentage of the crimes is human-based? Is it 5%, 10%, 60%, 70%, 80%, or more? What do you think? Those phishing attacks and ransomware and everything, more than 80% is human-based. A last question. Do you think women in cybersecurity, we have enough women leaders in cybersecurity? Yes? No? No? We have a very good leader here, a very prominent leader. And I would start by saying that the National Council of Women and the Egyptian leadership have made a lot of effort. The constitution is very keen about the cybersecurity and privacy of the citizens. The National Council of Women has the Committee of the Research, Technology and Cybersecurity. We are working on capacity building for women with the help of the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. A lot of initiatives like Noura, Dawi, joint initiatives with Meta, with Instagram, to promote cybersecurity and the awareness, and the reach is like 4.5 million with Instagram, for example. So there are a lot of initiatives. Even on the level of the country and the legislations, there are the cybersecurity law, the law number 175 for year 2018, is a very important milestone in the legal framework. But can I ask you a question? Is the legal framework enough? Okay, legislation without awareness has no meaning. Awareness without legislation is also not enough. So the legislations are very, very important. And I will end this speech by a quote that I like, that says, "The future of cybersecurity depends not only on technology, but on the people who shape it." Thank you very much, and we will start our panel right now. So we have Actually, I'm not sure how this conference has succeeded in inviting those very important speakers. So we have Dr. Ahmed Abdel Hafiz, who is the Vice President for Cybersecurity in the NTRA, the regulatory body of Egypt, and Engineer Tariq Shabaka, the CEO of MCS, is a very, very big company that does a lot of activity in CSR for the country. And Engineer Abir Khidr, the Group Head of Cybersecurity in the National Bank of Egypt. Please give them a round of applause. And I didn't mention that they are very dear friends. So I will start by asking Dr. Abdel Hafiz. They say that regulations in the age of AI must become adaptive and not static. In light of the evolution of the agentic artificial intelligence system, how do regulatory bodies play their role evolving to ensure the security of these systems without hindering the pace of innovation?
Yeah, good afternoon for all of you. And actually, I didn't VP anymore. I was VP right now. I'm advisor right now for cybersecurity. I'm still in charge as well. But it's a very good question. It's very hard to answer. Since AI is a very, very evolving, يعني, to put a regulation, to make any regulation framework takes a long time. But the evolving cycle for AI is very fast. So to cope with this evolving ratio for AI, you should be dynamic, not static. The former regulations says that you have to get approval before deployment. But right now, you don't do it like that. You should be dynamic. You should still monitoring, should evolve with the provider for what is calling post-deployment, post-monitoring, after deployment of any feature, after deployment of any technology. You have to be dynamic in your regulation with them, since if you put any static regulation, you will not be able to cope with the evolving rate with the AI. Other side also is, the question is for AI, should I put the regulation for the developer, or for the user, or for the people? For which one I can control? For the European Union, they put an act for, it was in June 2024. They are trying to put what is called the guardrail, not a boundaries, not a controls, not a framework, not a static one. Just put a boundaries. You play around these boundaries to be dynamic, to fulfill the innovation for AI, and at the same time to control and to manage the risks coming back from the AI. So for the regulator, it should be dynamic, not static. You should share the developer with you, so partnership with the government and the private sector to put the regulation together, and to put in your mind that you may change the regulation every time, to be dynamic, not static, to be adopt with the evolution for the AI. It's a very hard task. Since all the world right now, they are trying to put regulation for AI. It's very difficult because of the dynamicity, because of the evolving very fast. But you should have regulations. But the last panel was talking about the cybersecurity. Is it a risk, or it's message to be used with AI for putting new attacks and to protect yourself against new attacks imposed by AI. So it's very hard to put a regulation, but you have to, as I said, you have to be dynamic, to have to be in contact directly with the provider to manage the evolving very fast for the AI.
So we conclude from what Dr. Abdel Hafiz said, that innovation and regulation are no longer opponents. They are codependent systems, and this is very important. And we move to Engineer Tariq, and they say that defensive models built on static assumptions are no longer sufficient. So not only regulations, but the defensive models. So with the shift towards agentic AI system capable of making autonomous decisions, how do you see this impacting traditional cybersecurity models? Do we need fundamentally redesign these models?
First, thank you, Dr. Mariana, for the invitation, and thanks for the audience. Pleasure being with you today. Let us actually go into this, into some structured concept about the AI and how we can see it from the governance point of view. Real life, we have, as human beings, we are able to put some governance guidelines for our model and our business strategy and our engagement and our cycle of operations. And today, using the AI, we started to have new ideas being generated and starting to utilize the tools in more active way in our life. What happened that if there is errors happening in the process of the AI, and still we don't have any governance guideline. In this case, there is the risk which is really start evolving from the AI, because we cannot have a proper guidelines managing the governance and decision-making process for AI. For people, because we realize that there's some mistakes happening, what's the guidelines, what's the steps, we start putting in place processes. For AI, we start taking decisions based on AI recommendation without evaluating the process. And here is where cybersecurity risks start arising, because we don't have a process. We expect that this input or the output that we receive from the AI is the final decision with limited risk in place. And the cybersecurity era and industry, people start realizing that we should address this concern. We should start focusing on how to take the output coming from the AI and start analyzing this in a different process and not taking decisions immediately without making sure that we are following a proper guidelines for that. And because of this element we have right now, we start creating tools which start analyzing the process, taking this decision into another process of review to take a final decision on that process. Just an example for that. Today in Sweden, they start using AI for medical part and in-depth medical part. So what they did, they realized that there's some mistakes happening because of the AI. And to avoid that, they start taking the AI engine into a second AI engine, into a third AI engine. And they take it into a loop process with a governance guidelines for that in order to take this final decision and review it with an expert to take the final process. It enhances the process because of using the AI and reducing the security, the cybersecurity attacks part that can happen in the process. Last point in answering Dr. Marianne's question, today AI is being integrated in most of the cybersecurity tools to make sure that the processes and the cycle of evaluation of any cyber threat is being managed in a very high speed process. Humans are not that, cannot perform according to the speed of machines. And today, because of AI attacks received, we start having another machines that can enable the human to be also efficient addressing the AI risk.
Thank you so much. So now, as a conclusion, we are moving from systems today that we secure to systems that, can you complete this sentence? That are under work. Any other contributions? Operate, that secure themselves. So we're moving from systems that we secure to systems that we secure themselves. Moving to the banking sector, so we have like regulators, private sector and banking sector. So we have, I think, everything covered, and we have a gender balance as well on stage, so we are covered now. We move to AI reshaping cyber threats in the banking sectors, and they say that banking sectors are now as intelligent as the threats targeting them. So how is AI reshaping the cyber threats landscape for the banking sector?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, thank you so much, Dr. Marianne, and to Nile University for the kind invitation and for allowing this opportunity so that we share with you what we're seeing from the real life, the real war rooms. So when we talk about cyber threats, the evolving cyber threat landscape in banking and how it's really evolving and getting more and more sophisticated by AI, the question comes, where do I begin? Where do I begin? We see a lot of things. Of course, National Bank of Egypt is, the leading national bank in the country and part of its critical infrastructure. And that's why we see a lot of the evolving cyber threats. Let me share with you two things. First, there is one of the most credible cybersecurity predictive reports that are issued by the World Economic Forum every year in January. So this report, it's called, you can look it up, it's called the Cybersecurity Outlook for the year. So for example, in January 2026, they released their annual report. And funny enough, I see this report similar to The Simpsons. If you're aware of The Simpsons, they predict what happens and then it happens. The report from the World Economic Forum really does the prediction and then we see it happening. So in the beginning of the year, they said the cyber threat landscape globally will be reshaped by two main things, in addition to others, that are highlighted in the report. So the two main things are the geopolitical tension and the implications of this. And the second thing is that it will be reshaped, the cyber threat landscape will be reshaped by the use and abuse of AI. All right, so in banking in particular, of course, we are seeing the geopolitical tension because the war that is going on in the region, while it is perceived as being a kinetic war, but there is a cyber weapon element to the war, of course. So that while the kinetic war is going on, there is the cyber battle space going on and taking place as well. And here, while we are thankful and grateful that Egypt has cyber resilience already in its critical infrastructure by all the efforts of its different, the CERT, the regulatory bodies, and all the national players, and our partners also in success. So this adds to our cyber resilience. So we are grateful that we do have this cyber resilience, and that we are not also primary targets in this war, right? But we differentiate between being targeted, being a direct target of a cyber attack, or the one really in the target of the cyber attack, and being susceptible. Because in the war, for example, if you see one side attacking the products of all the other side, if, for example, you see American products under attack, so all those American products are widely used globally and in the region. So while you're not a primary target, you're still using this product that is being the primary target. So here, this requires that we rethink everything. Also, in the banking sector, and we'll come to that later, yeah, we'll discuss this later throughout the panel, but I want to highlight also that a simple abuse of the AI in the banking sector is the deepfake. And not only the deepfake, while the deepfake, we're not seeing a lot of deepfake incidents here, impersonating customers in call centers, etc. It's not yet at scale, but we're seeing something else. We're seeing AI-powered malware. So the second story I wanted to share, early in 2026 as well, right with the timing of the release of the World Economic Forum report, we had like a briefing for our senior executives at the bank to tell them this is the outlook of the cyber threat landscape and this is what we have to pay attention to, and this is why. So we got like a very well-known expert in the field to talk to them about this and how to prepare for the different scenarios. He said at the end of his talk, and this was in February, I remember very well, early February, he said AI is going to be used to not to create only sophisticated malware and sophisticated phishing attacks, but it will also make some of our defenses the attack vector themselves. So while we're using, for example, point detection and protection, all that, those become sometimes the attack vector, because the attacker uses AI to disable them first so that it goes silently and is not detected. So He said so, but he said at the very end of his intervention, a disclaimer. Don't mind about what I'm saying because it has not yet materialized. It did not yet happen. This was in February. Fast forward in July of the same year, okay, we saw, not this July, sorry, that was the previous July. Fast forward, we saw what we saw actually, an AI-powered malware in one of our third parties. They were handling it and they reported it to us and we worked together to see this. So while things, we speak in conferences and maybe some of our audiences may think this is all theoretical talk. It's not happening in reality. It is happening, and we really have to, of course, adapt and step up our defenses and rethink our defenses and rethink our security policies and strategies, because what we are facing and battling today is not the same technique that we're facing and battling yesterday.
Thank you, Engineer Abir. So can we summarize and get one statement that then in cyber security in the banking sectors, there are two very important factors that have become equally critical. Can you guess them? Awareness, regulations, any other guessings? And speed and intelligence, both are very important to cope with the attack vectors, the defenses turning to attacks, and a lot of things that were mentioned here. And I move to, again, to Dr. Ahmed, and we look to Egypt and the regional leadership in AI cybersecurity, because cyber sovereignty is becoming as critical as economic sovereignty. And this is very obvious from the wars we were talking about. So how do you envision the role of Egypt and the region in developing a balanced regulatory model that could serve as a benchmark for managing cybersecurity in the age of AI?
Actually, I don't think we have the capability to cooperate as the country in the region to come up with the regulation to cover the Middle East or Arab countries. This, we didn't agree in anything. Actually, sorry for saying that, but this is a reality. But in Egypt, we did a good job to put some regulation for AI, but we didn't come up. There is a strategy for AI. MCIT has come up with a strategy for AI to regulate the development and technology of the AI. But to answer your answer, frankly speaking, to cooperate with the Arab countries, to cooperate with the countries in the region is very difficult, to be honest, Yang. It's not a political thing, but I have to say something like that. But the problem is we didn't have the capability to develop, as Dr. Sameh said in the previous panel, we have to have our AI model, we have to have our technology. We don't have this up till now, right now in our region. So how to regulate, how to participate in both regulation and something we didn't develop yet. This is the main issue. But the other problem is, as I've said before, the very fast evolving for AI to cope with this very fast development, very fast changing. It's very difficult for us to cope with, to sit together, to say, okay, we should to agree in some rules, or should agree in some framework or regulation to control our usage for AI in our region. I think it's not an easy task to start. I think we should work by ourselves as an Egypt country. We have the capability to come up with our regulation. As I said, we have our strategy. We are working now to put some regulation to regulate the using of AI in our region, in Egypt. It's not replacing an existing regulation, but to modify it to cope with the capability of something. For example, we say that we can put some sort of algorithmic accountability, not a fixed accountable way, algorithmic ones after post-monitoring the AI after deployment. If something happened, we can deal with something like that. So we didn't put a very strict regulation. We should put a flexible regulation to cope with the dynamic change. But a clear answer for your question: are we able, as Arab countries, to come up with a regulation, a common regulation? My answer is no. Sorry to say that.
And I learned never to get no for an answer. So let's hope that we will do it one day. And we have another challenge, like they say that security in a critical system must be invisible to something, but visible to something. It will be invisible to what? Innovation, maybe? But visible to what? To risk. So security must be invisible to innovation, and innovation visible to risk. So based on your experience as an engineer, Tariq, what are the key challenges organizations face when securing AI-driven systems such as critical infrastructure? And how can these challenges be addressed without slowing down innovation?
We consider this the most toughest question in the industry because it's a conflict, the innovation versus the risk. And sorry.
There are online people a lot.
Oh, okay, sorry for that. So innovation usually requires openness, requires facilities, require tools, require access, require collaboration between different resources. And security by default requires limited access, requires shortage of information, requires encryption, requires a lot of stuff that is not an enabler for the innovation. However, using the AI right now give us some opportunities in that area. Give us a potential that we can have a new platform which enables the developers and the concept of innovation in that space. Let me give you a couple of examples in this area. Today, if we have a look for most of the tools that is addressing the cybersecurity threats for banks or for the governments, we will always see an AI part of the integration. What the AI do, that it can easily access the encrypted data and all the risks engaged in the process of the cycle in the banking process or the government process. And in this case, it can take decisions at the same time limiting the security threats available at that point. Innovation in this part is limited because we are limiting the access. However, developers going into an extra mile, making sure that they can put enough tools that can have this cycle being part of the tools required. At the same time, we realize that having more tools complicate things. AI right now is limiting the number of tools required for several institutions that can enable them to be more creative and more innovative while maintaining the same level of security at the same time. Quick answer?
Of course. So the challenge is not building safeguards. The challenge is integrating them into systems without, can you guess a word? Without slowing down any other hints? Without blocking? Without friction with the systems, and the friction slows down everything and blocks everything. Thank you so much. So it's a real challenge. It's a very tough question. It needs a lot of research. But now I will address one of my fears with Engineer Abir. This is not a poem, a fear with Abir. So cybersecurity jobs demand versus AI automation. This is a very challenging question. And they say that automation changes job roles more than it eliminates them, hopefully. So with an approximately demand for cybersecurity jobs of 3.5 million globally, and how many in Egypt? Can you guess? 200K in Egypt. Will the use of AI decrease this demand?
Yes, as you see, we have a demand for 200,000 job opportunities in cybersecurity. Because while there is an increase in AI and the automation, there is still need for different roles in cybersecurity. But first, let me tell you why people think, you know, the need for cybersecurity jobs will diminish a little. Now, we all know Anthropic, Claude, right? Who knows Anthropic, Claude, of course, okay? So maybe you have heard recently, early April, they released what? Claude Mythos, right? So Claude Mythos is their very highly advanced AI model that is capable of detecting hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities. مش مشكلة إنه it's very the vulnerabilities are too complex to detect. No, clever attackers are able to detect them as well, and clever ethical hackers are able to detect them as well. The key differentiator with Claude Mythos is its ability to chain those vulnerabilities, to complicate an attack, and also the speed with which it's discovering all those vulnerabilities. That's why it is perceived as a dangerous AI model to be released to the public. Claude did not release its Mythos version to the public. Instead, there's a project called Glasswing, and this project, Anthropic, is releasing only this highly advanced AI model Mythos to selected 40 organizations. Why? To give them the advantage of using it to fix whatever vulnerabilities in their software, because they determined that those 40 organizations have R&D and have, let's say, technology solutions that they sell at scale. So it compromises a great percentage of critical infrastructure in the world. So that's why they gave them, and among all those organizations, only one bank, JP Morgan. Lucky them. So there is one bank that has access to this highly advanced model. Now, if Mythos eventually will be released into public, and also there are so many AI models that are less advanced than Mythos, and they are still also in the hands of attackers, and they may use them to craft the sophisticated cyber attacks. So with this evolution, do we defend manually, or do we also have to have our SOCs? You know SOC? What SOC means, of course, right? If not in banking, it's Security Operations Center. So in the banks, we have a Security Operations Center that runs on a shift basis, 24/7 hours, so that it can monitor all incoming attacks. We have, of course, a monitoring called a SIM solution. Of course, all the banks have it, and by which we monitor the threats. But who handles the alarms released by those SIM solutions or in the Security Operations Center? Currently, humans. This model cannot really work now and in the future. Why? Because humans come at different capabilities, صح? So we have the very clever SOC analysts, and the medium, and the not so, and the below average. So there are varying capabilities in the human defense. But if in such an evolving cyber threat landscape we only depend on humans, then we are not rightly prepared for the coming wave of attacks. So that's why we need to implement, as Dr. Marianne said, we are now in agentic economy, and one of the key areas, although it's not revenue generating, but it is at least reputation protecting, we have to invest in agentic SOCs, agentic Security Operations Center. Do we make them fully autonomous? Not yet. Not even the biggest banks do they allow a SOC agent to take cybersecurity decisions. Not yet at that level of maturity. However, we can always have semi-autonomous SOCs, such that this will give us the benefit and advantage of having an AI agent do all the work for the analyst, look in the right queries, get all the incident artifacts, prepare everything, and propose also the recommended actions to address a certain case, and then leaves the final decision to the analyst. Okay, so this way the AI is in the co-pilot mode. It's not fully autonomous, semi-autonomous, but it gives consistency to the analysis, consistency, because we don't want the varying capabilities. Consistency. It gives explainability, so no decision the AI takes that is not properly documented, where it has been inferred, how it has been inferred. So all of this is documented, and the analyst is capable of taking a right informed decision and able to decrease. So this helps us as banks with two main things. Helps us to decrease our, what we call mean time to detect and mean time to respond, because we want the analysts to be able to handle more alarms faster and with the right effectiveness. And it also helps us elevate the knowledge of the analysts. When they see the steps the AI has done, the explainability of how it had made its recommendations, then this will elevate their knowledge and will help them advance and get challenged, instead of thinking themselves as boring robots handling alarms that are repetitive in nature. So this is very useful for us. Does this mean that we will no longer, in the future of work, have roles for cybersecurity jobs? No. There has to be, but they are changing. Like, for example, if you go a few years back, you would never, the concept of a security operations center was, the SOC analyst sitting in front of the screen. But now we had a consultant working with us and saying, where is in the SOC, where is the role for the AI magician? So I told him, an AI magician? Do we need an AI magician? He said, yes, because he's not simply an AI engineer that will help you automate things. No, he is really a magician, because he needs to create, and here is perhaps hitting on innovation, as you said earlier, innovation, because he needs to see patterns, he needs to create rules to detect patterns that were previously not detectable simply by a human analyst. So here, by a normal analyst, I mean. So here, yes, there will be a lot of autonomy created by investments in agentic AI, but there will always be the need of cybersecurity roles, varying roles, but it's being reshaped. They are not the same type of job. It's being reshaped, but there is, of course, a strong need to lead this innovation in this particularly important area.
We have an alert now, but we are aware of time. So I would like to just summarize what has been said, and just to say that according to Engineer Abir, the future of jobs in cybersecurity are not subject to reduction. They're hopefully subject for augmentation, but in a different aspect. So let us make a small quiz. As a university professor, I love quizzes. So my quiz is, what were the words that were repeated mostly in this session? The words that were like, we kept repeating. Can you remember anything? Risks? Yes, thank you. SOC? Agentic? Thank you.
And fast changes, I worked in nuclear energy, and I tried before expert system. In the key point, is in nuclear, is that at the end, there is a necessity for a human decision. No ifs, no buts. In the attempts for the expert system, where it fell, there was a desire to replace the co-pilot and the cockpit with a machine. And when they realized that that cannot work, they stopped this. And this was the end of why expert system didn't develop further at that time. Having said that, in my opinion, the most important thing is to raise the capital, the human capital, because the human capital general will help what goes on. Without the human capital growing up, then, you know, all this discussion is only for a small part. But what you need is the whole country with its human capital paying attention to this. This is your best protection.
Thank you so much. And I will continue with the map that we're doing and then open the floor for 1 or 2 interventions based on time. So we said risks, we said agentic, we said a lot of things. Can you remember something else? Okay. I will tell you the map that I made from the speeches of our speakers. I divided into 3 groups. There are dangers there. We start with the dangers and end with the solution. Geopolitical changes, targeted attacks, use and abuse of AI. There are also facts. The facts, they're dynamic or rapidly changing, evolving risks. Innovation is there in the emerging technology. Automation is there. Agentic AI is there. These are the facts. What is our goal? Our goal is resilience, keeping resilience. So what are the measures that we will take? We will keep monitoring. This was said, this word, defenses. Innovation is used as another measure, as a fact, as any measure. Automation, regulations, integration, SOX, knowledge, and decisions, informed decisions by human, as Your Excellency mentioned. So this completes the map. We have the facts and the dangers, we have the goal, and we have the final measures that we should be taking. And I will end by a quote that I love a lot. They say that when in a world where AI learns and evolves every second, our greatest strength will not be resisting change, but shaping it with what? Wisdom. What else? Ethics and shared responsibility. And by this quote, I open the floor to only 1 intervention, please.
Hi, thank you all for your interesting and new insights on cybersecurity in artificial intelligence. I have a question about the cybersecurity adoption as it being a technology, because I think cybersecurity is really important for both governmental institutes as well as companies, but I think it also exceeds the borders of countries. I think you can do a lot more if you work on an international level. And I also think if we look at the technology being adopted, the adoption of the technology of the cybersecurity in AI, if we work together, it might be sped up, the adoption. But it might also be true that if we adopt too fast with everyone at the same time, that the technology is not that good yet, that it is really valuable. So maybe my question really is, what do you think is more important, that we go really slow, step by step in improving this technology to make sure it really can do what we want it to do, to improve the cybersecurity? Or do you think, no, we should really focus more on collaborating on a national level, on an international level to speed up the adoption process, and from that perspective, we improve the technology itself? What do you think about that?
They told us that we're standing between you and lunch. So please, one of the speakers or 2, if you wish to answer, Engineer.
Usually we say for the cybersecurity, we don't secure for everyday attack. What we do for cybersecurity, it's infrastructure that we put in place to secure the operation from an incident that might happen during the years across the time. So this is the main focus for the adding in cybersecurity, making sure that we are secured all the time, but usually we don't feel threat unless we have a serious attack happening at the organization. And this is why usually we advise that we have to comply with the latest standards for the cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, usually, when there's any vulnerabilities, any threat available in the industry, there is a patch or there is an integration that happens immediately in order to address that type of issues. And this is why using the latest cyber technology is very essential for organizations, for countries' stability also, and for maintaining the service and the availability of the service. However, we invest in the cybersecurity, protecting the environment from not a daily attack, which is happening on every day and every minute, but also we are protecting from an incident that might risk the operation process or risk the services operation itself.
quick intervention, maybe because people don't know about it, but rightfully to your point about collaboration, this is very important, although it may not be visible at all times. Salam, Dr. Ahmed, of course, he's the pioneer of collaboration. Yani, when I first learned about him, he's always making sure that people in the region who work in cybersecurity are collaborating and sharing threat intel and knowledge about the different technologies in cybersecurity. We always also do this in, we have a federation for Egyptian banks, and we have a cybersecurity committee. So here, we don't only do knowledge sharing among us as heads of cybersecurity in the Egyptian banks, but we also welcome visiting and regional heads of cybersecurity from different countries in the region, and sometimes globally as well. We do have a collaboration, by the way, with JP Morgan, the US. So, and they've been great support. They're the only bank, remember, that have access to Cloud Mythos. So collaboration, to your point, is very important. And also, to your other point, maybe that we need to slow down a bit. One example, if you have, any of you has an account in Revolut in the UK, the Revolut, the digital bank, they released like a week ago, a new interface. It's not an interface. It's like the Claude chat that you get into the application, and instead of a menu like our digital apps, our apps in Egypt, you have a menu, you go to transfers, you go to et cetera, et cetera. There's a menu, there's a user interface. No, they released last week an interface that's an AI chat. You say, Revolut, tell me how much did I spend in Greece last week? And it tells you, transfer kaza kaza. It immediately transfers. So here, some critiques said this speed of doing the transaction is, taking away from the customer the few seconds that you think about, maybe I don't want to do this, I don't want to make the transfer, I have second thoughts, but because it's being done so quickly, you lose that chance. So here, this is, yes, a paradox between the innovation and we have to slow down a little bit. Thank you.
And because this session was so quick, we lost the chance of hearing from all of you. But again, for this question, cybersecurity in the age of intelligent systems is not about defending data only. It is about safeguarding trust, resilience, and the future of human decision-making. I'd like to thank Professor Tariq Khalil, former president of NU and the president of this conference, for his invitation and for this amazing organization, and the help that was done from the staff at the university, Dr. Heba, Ms. Hedi, and Mr. Omar Zain, and all the staff. Again, the speakers, thank you so much for coming and being there. Bon appetit.
May I also offer my special thank you to Professor Marian Azar, and our previous moderators for keeping the time, for working really well with our brilliant panelists. So thank you very much, the panelists, for such a wonderful session.
Thank you so much for our panelists. Now, Dr. Tariq Khalil will honor our panelists. We will now have our brunch break, then head to the parallel sessions. Track A, room 127. Track B, room IECC Tech Space. Track C, room IECC Value Chain. Track D, room IECC F9.
مفيش غدا تاني.
Hello. Yes.